Now will we see the magic?
All right, where's Murray? Okay, who is it?
This is Jesus, kid.
Know then that it is the year 10,191.
Yes, we are bored. We're all bored now.
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Hello and welcome to Mary vs. the Movies with your host Mary Jones.
And Dennis Ling.
And I know why you sound so sad.
Yeah.
Because this week, as I said, we are back to the beach in order to watch Jaws 2.
Yep.
One of the least loved sequels of all time.
I mean, in its favor, it is the one where the shark talks.
Okay, you say that, and I don't know if you're exaggerating or what.
Because Steven Spielberg, he was like, I feel like I've made the perfect film, but there was one thing missing. My shark doesn't talk. And that's where the famous catchphrase, I gotcha, comes from. You know, the shark, when he says it whenever he eats a kid. Gotcha.
Are you sure you're not confusing Jaws 2 with Jabberjaw? A cartoon you reference frequently.
I do, and I barely ever watched it.
Like, every time it's Saturday morning, he's like, all right, let's get up and watch Jabberjaw. And I'm like, does that even, like, is that on?
So I thought with Jaws 2, there should have been two sharks. But apparently I think the Meg 2 is that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I forget who said that, but...
I think that was a friend of ours last night was telling us. So there is not two sharks. So why is there...
I don't remember.
So, okay, Jaws 2. I've seen Jaws, the original.
Yeah.
This is a movie that they teach in classes. It's Spielberg's big breakthrough. It helped invent the... No, I take that back. It did not invent the term blockbuster. Actually, I think that was invented for Ben-Hur. But the modern blockbuster starts with Jaws.
Yeah.
1975. It is based on a book by Peter Benchley.
Which sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a great book. But then again, neither does the original Godfather.
Yeah.
But that was the thing in the 70s. They took these pop boilers and they turned them into great films.
And Stephen King was like, it's my time to shine.
Stephen King, I think, is a better writer than that.
Yeah.
You know, I like King, actually. I mean, he's got his issues.
His endings are not great.
No, his endings are terrible. But he's otherwise a good writer.
Yeah. And his short stories are amazing.
Absolutely.
I love his short stories.
There's a reason why those are usually the most successful films.
Yeah.
But Peter Benchley's book,
Also,
meh.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Also with Philip K. Dick, same thing.
Yeah, sure.
Long books. Ugh.
Spielberg took the Benchley book, or somebody did. I don't know who wrote the screenplay, actually, now that you say that. But it's a classic. I mean, it's a take on Moby Dick, right?
I think it's also a movie that I feel like it was optioned before it was released. The book was optioned before it was released.
Sure, that happens.
They were so sure it's going to be a hit.
They weren't wrong.
Yeah. And they got this whiz kid.
Oh, are you going to do your Robert Evans impression now?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's basically what this all comes out of, right?
Yeah.
So it's a huge hit. It's a brilliant film. You know, it's Spielberg doing Moby Dick by way of Hitchcock, right?
Yeah.
And I love that film. It's amazing. It's really two different movies. You know, the first half is a thriller and the other half is an adventure story. And God knows I love anything set at sea. I'm a big boat nerd. I am. I love stuff set at sea. Every time I see a Master and Commander meme, I'm just like, yes, this is for me. You know, I mean, we've moved into like the house I grew up in, and it's full of like boats that my stepfather built. You know, old ships and whatnot. You know, this big one of like the HMS Victory and all that
awesome.
type. Yeah, they're great. I love it. I love boats. So
even this little guy here, is that the Constitution?
Yeah, it's the Constitution. Yeah, I love boats. Okay, so I love a movie set on a boat. Mm-hmm. I love the genre of dopes on a boat.
Yeah.
which we talked about in our little bonus episode on Creature from the Black Lagoon. Jaws 2, on the other hand. So here's the thing. You get to the end of Jaws, and Chief Brody blows up the shark.
Mm-hmm. Or does he?
Well, but that's the thing. Where's this other shark coming from? Do sharks go back to certain waters? Sure, but this shark's dead. What, like sharks, they do attack people. Let's not do the whole like sharks don't really attack human beings. Yes, they do.
Zombie shark.
We're food. That's the thing. People don't want to admit we're food, but we are food. And if it ain't going to be a lion or a shark that gets us, it's going to be flies. So that's fine. It is what it is.
Now I think I forget if the movie Orca came out. I forget when that came out. Did that
Well,
come out
was that
before this?
It was. Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. But hey, as we know, orcas, they do go after humans.
Yeah.
They go after yachts. Good for them. Comrade, you orca. I'm all for it. So anyway, Jaws.
A whole new kind of yacht rock.
God. But we're here to talk about Jaws 2.
Yeah.
Why does this movie exist? Well, that's easy. Because Jaws was a hit. And what do you do when you have a hit? You make a sequel. Now, sometimes a sequel is amazing.
With the talking shark.
We'll get to that. Sometimes a sequel is amazing. Obviously, Godfather Part 2 is fantastic. I mean, it's arguably better than the first one. Empire Strikes Back. Great.
Now, what do you think of Rocky 2?
I like Rocky 2. Is it as good as Rocky 1? No, of course not. Is it as good as Rocky 3? No. But I like Rocky 2. A lot of people, whatever.
So by Rocky rules, in this movie, the shark should win.
Well, does it? I'm kind of curious.
We don't know.
Because I know Roy Scheider doesn't come back for any of the sequels. No. So does the shark get to eat Roy Scheider at the end?
Ding, ding.
Yeah.
That's a dinner bell.
Right. So I know, obviously Robert Shaw does not come back. He's dead. Well, I mean, I don't think the actor was dead yet, but he gets eaten.
I don't know. Darth Maul comes back in Star Wars.
Oh, that's true.
Why not?
Yeah.
Half doesn't mean much in movies.
Yeah. God. I know that Richard Dreyfuss does not come back for this. I don't know why. The band doesn't have that much dignity. Come on. I mean, he was in Piranha. Or Piranha 2, I think. I don't know. He's in one of those Piranha movies. I think as his character from...
Are we doing Piranha 2?
Why not? I'll do any of the Piranha movies. I don't care.
I think that's the one. Was that directed by James Cameron?
I don't know.
And I know... weren't the Coen brothers involved with some of that? Or
dude, I have no idea. I pulled that name out of the back of my head, and I don't know anything about the Piranha movies. I might even be confused about which movie Richard Dreyfuss shows up in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's another one called The Deep. Like everybody was like copying Jaws.
Of course.
And, it was just like Star Wars, where everybody's whipping out their cheap knockoff.
And the thing is, I would watch any of those movies compared to a lot of stuff that's come out in the last 10 years.
One movie...
I mean, they're bad, but they're fun. Back to Jaws 2.
Yeah.
The Shark Who Talks. I know Roy Scheider's in this.
Yep.
And that kind of... I mean, the guy had a career.
Yeah.
I mean, and from this, he would go on and do stuff like All That Jazz, which we are going to watch at some point. Again, I understand why sequels happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're terrible. This is apparently not good. So I know that Roy Scheider is in this as Chief Brody.
Yeah.
I also know that it's the same mayor, right?
Yeah. Well, Ben Gardner probably would have won if he didn't get eaten.
So you think it was sort of he was the last man standing on the Isle of Amity?
Yeah. People were about to vote for Ben Gardner, and then they saw the worms coming out of his eye, and that freaked them all out.
Okay, you don't see a worm coming out of Ben Gardner's eye.
Yeah.
Is there a worm?
There's a hole, and I think there's a worm in it or something.
I feel like you're creating a memory. Look, I'll be honest. Every time the head comes out in the movie, I do kind of close my eyes because it is, again, just as an aside on how good Jaws is, and everybody knows that. Think of that scene where it's such a brilliant bit of misdirection where Spielberg has you paying attention to Richard Dreyfuss, picking up the tooth, and it's so that you forget about looking at anything except that you're focused on the tooth and not where's the body.
Yeah.
So that when the head comes up, it's always surprises me because I forget for a second, right?
And I think they added that later in filming. That was just kind of something they just tossed in.
Oh, they added that scene?
Yeah. And it's one of the most memorable scenes in the film.
It sure is, man.
Yeah.
But I don't think a worm crawls out of the guy's eye. I think you've created a memory out of your own horror. And so you went right to the worms crawl in, the worms crawl out.
No, I saw it.
I know Jaws is one of your favorite movies.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of painful when you love a film and then they try to make a second one and it's just not good.
Yeah, and the third one is so bad that I will say the third one I think is way worse than the second one.
Is that the one that's in 3D?
Yeah, Jaws 3D.
Oh God.
And I saw it in the theater. I was so excited, and then I was like, "Wow, that was a really cheap cash in."
How old were you when Jaws 3 came out?
Oh, I guess I don't know. Maybe preteen. I don't know.
So you're not old enough to know better.
Maybe a teen. I don't know.
Okay.
No, it had to be preteen. At least because I think it was 82, maybe 81.
Okay. I wasn't sure what
So
year
10,
it was.
11.
Because I think this is like 77, 78, something like that.
Yeah.
It's late 70s. So I know. We usually focus on films from the 80s, but,
A very elastic timeline now.
Much like a pair of pants that is stretched out.
Yeah. And so next week we'll be doing the Great Train Robbery. Oh, I guess you've seen that. Never mind.
I have a lot of thoughts on the Great Train Robbery, actually, and its relationship to movies like Goodfellas. But anyway,
yeah.
I decided to do this movie because I've never seen it, and we're going to watch the sequels at some point. And I thought, what the hell? Let's just throw this in and do this, because I wanted to do a movie set at the beach. I wanted to do something summery, and I don't know. I thought Jaws 2 would be a lot of fun, especially after I've been watching a lot of like movies about nuclear war lately.
You have.
I have. I don't know. And I just thought, maybe I need to watch something dumb. It would be a good thing for me to watch something really stupid. And Jaws 2 seems like one of the dumber things I could watch. Not one of the dumbest, but one of the dumber.
So you're going to be really upset when that nuke appears in this film.
Oh my God. If this shark is carrying a nuke, I would actually get excited.
I actually would too.
That would be amazing.
And spoiler alert that doesn't happen.
Oh. Man, you got me all hyped up for a nuclear shark.
Sorry.
This is not the future I was promised.
Maybe.
Of course, that's not the future I was promised either, but it should be.
Maybe he doesn't talk either.
Wait, wait a minute.
Maybe I made that up.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that the shark doesn't go around like...
It doesn't say I gotcha.
Okay, wait a minute.
Eats a kid.
I didn't think he like actually talked in sentences, but I thought maybe they have the shark making like growling noises or something. Because that could happen. I mean, look, I've seen worse.
Yeah, I don't want to build your hopes up.
Oh. So this is not,
Yeah.
Jaws
He
2.
doesn't have brass knuckles. Punch people with his fins.
Man, I have a feeling you're creating a much better film than we're about to watch.
Sorry.
Well, now that I'm disappointed, shall we go watch the movie?
Sure. So I led you astray. He didn't talk.
I'm disappointed in a lot of ways.
Although it was kind of just as silly.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Because there is a thing that happens in this movie that I should have seen coming, but I didn't. Because it's stupid.
Yeah, man.
It's amazing.
But it's the most memorable thing about the movie.
Boy, is it ever.
It's kind of the only thing you remember.
Yeah, because this movie is not very good.
No.
This has the most famous tagline, I think, in movie history, right?
Yeah.
And it's just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, right?
Yeah.
And it's a line that has long lived with me, especially as when I was a child, I used to go swimming. Well, I still go swimming in the Atlantic Ocean in New Jersey. In fact, we're going there next week.
I want to go now.
No. Oh, are you off the idea of going down the shore?
Yeah. This thing's chasing down water skis.
Yeah.
Yikes.
When I was a kid, I remember I got impetigoed twice from swimming in the ocean because the ocean was full of, this was the days when they were dumping medical waste and human feces into the water, which I guess they're still doing actually. But so I got impetigo because the water was full of crap.
Yeah.
And this film is kind of like swimming in impetigo infested water.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not good.
No.
It's a massive disappointment, in fact.
Not for me. I knew it was coming.
Oh. And you tried to warn me. You did. I will give you that. But man, this is...
It had been a while since I saw it, and people were saying, it's not as bad as you think. I'm like, I remember it being pretty bad.
You know what? You remembered right. It's bad in a couple of ways.
Yeah.
Number one, it's an extremely unfocused movie.
Yep.
Like, they kind of just throw things in. All they knew was, we're making another shark movie, and the only guy we can get back is Roy Scheider. And I guess Lorraine Gary, who plays his wife.
Yeah.
And Murray Hamilton, to be fair. And I actually have something to say about Mayor Larry Vaughn, actually. I've seen it brought up before. Why in the world is he still the mayor in Jaws 2? And you would think 10 years ago, yeah, obviously everyone would have ridden him out on a rail. Why is he still the mayor? And then I look at the upcoming election and Trump's poll numbers, and I think, oh yeah, no, it totally makes sense. He'd still be mayor. I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked at all. That's actually the most believable part of this movie. There is almost a good movie here. It's an unfocused film. If they had focused on Brody has PTSD from the events of the first film.
Yeah, and they sort of do.
They do, but they don't do it very well.
Yeah, I mean, they don't focus on it, but they bring it up.
They bring it up. They don't use those words because it's 1978 and nobody talked that way back then. But they do kind of point out that he is still freaked out by what happened. And look, he survived a shark. You look at that first movie. He survived, and he's freaked out. And he's when that first movie starts, he's afraid of the water, and there's nothing that disabuses him of that notion.
Yeah.
He has no reason to like the water, but he is the chief of police on an island. And he's still the chief of police on this island in this movie. And so, you know, there is a good reason for him to be acting irrationally. Yeah. And the film kind of tries to get into that, but it's just done so clumsily.
But the first thing we see is two divers posing in front of the wreck of the Orca and doing flexing their muscles, and then chomp immediately. Chomp.
Oh, is this what happened to that submarine that went looking for the Titanic?
There are sharks. Wasn't there a shark that deep?
I think there are some sharks that can go that deep. Yeah.
I know there was a porpoise or something.
Yeah. A seal.
Yeah. We were looking at this. It was this kind of cool
little website with a JavaScript or something where, you know, in animation, it's if you go this many meters down, this is the animals that live here. This many meters down, this is as far as a human will go. This is how far, different animals will go. And you went down really, really far. And then all of a sudden this one type of seal showed up hey, I sometimes dive down here. It's just what are you doing here?
Yeah. And that was 3,000
feet down or
which
something.
Which is where the Titanic is.
Yeah, about that. It's actually, I think the Titanic's at 4,000 feet. But
then Marianas Trench is like 3 times that or something.
Yeah, it's really far down. Yeah. You know, down there you've got actual sea monsters.
Yeah.
So the movie starts with people who are basically doing wreckage tourism, looking for the Orca, which is ghoulish when you think about it.
Yeah.
Quint isn't there. He got blown up when they blew up the shark, but it still feels wrong, right? Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. But so karma gets them in the form of chomp chomp.
Yeah.
And that feels right. That feels like some sort of karma.
I guess, but with the logic of this movie, it almost feels like he's you're disrespecting my ancestors' burial ground.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, because it makes no sense that this shark has a grudge. Why does this shark, who has nothing to do with the other shark, they never explain this is Jaws Jr., Jaws' brother or something. They don't explain why this shark has it in for this island.
I'm glad that they don't, because I'm sure
oh, that would have been so much worse, actually.
Yeah, they would have I think this is his brother-in-law.
Yeah. No. If they had a line like that in this, I would have respected it a little more. Let's just go all the way in how dumb this movie is, because this is a movie that features a shark eating a helicopter. Yeah. Why not have it be it was the shark's brother? This movie is very slow moving. This movie was 2 hours. It felt like 5.
Partly because it introduces all these characters, and you just get the feeling we're not going to care about these characters ever, are we?
Especially the teenagers.
Yeah.
In fact, I just sat there rooting for them to be eaten.
Yeah.
There is an unfortunate emphasis on a gang of teens who live on the island, and they're all the children of people like the mayor and Chief Brody, and they all own boats. Amity Island, it's Martha's Vineyard, but there are people who live there, and they're part of the tourist industry, and they're kind of own shops, and they're kind of normal people. But then you also have these rich kids who live there who have boats. It's not like their dad's a fisherman or something. In the first film, you get a sense of there are people there who are commercial fishermen. There are people who are normal working people, right?
I think it's the first film, it felt like a much more crowded town.
Yes. Yeah, there are not a lot of extras in this. Yeah. This does not feel like a fleshed out town. Now, what's interesting is in the original script, and apparently in the original Jaws book, there's a lot more stuff about the mafia.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense if you know anything about New England, especially like Rhode Island. I realize that this is actually Massachusetts, but like there is a lot of like mob stuff up there. The original book had the mob is invested in the tourism industry of the island. Part of why Vaughn doesn't want to close the beaches in the first film is like, yeah, that's their summer, that's all their money, but also like, you know, they're mobbed up.
But also in the original film, like the original script, like the town was going to be a ghost town from the events of the previous movie.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And
Yeah.
so, you know, in the original script for this movie it was going to be at the fallout of the shark attacks and how this town, which is mobbed up, is trying to get past the fact that nobody wants to come to the island anymore. And so when this film opens, after you get the whole chomp chomp bit, we cut to the opening of a new like grand hotel on the island because there is a guy on the town council who is kind of the real estate developer.
And Mrs. Brody's boss.
Right, she works for him. So part of what's going on in the film, and they don't develop this enough because apparently Universal thought this is kind of grim and dour and who wants to deal with any of this?
Let's fire that director, which they did.
Yeah. I don't remember who the original director was going to be, but the guy who directed this is the guy who, what's his name? Like Svark?
Yeah.
Svark or something like that.
Shark, I think.
Is his name Shark?
No,
I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know how to pronounce it. Is he Belgian? I think he's Belgian or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's the guy who directed Somewhere in Time and Supergirl. Apparently not a good movie.
Svark.
Yeah, so they brought him in because Universal did not like how this was a movie about, I don't know, the town is kind of a ghost town, as you said. And like nobody is coming to the town, so the mob is trying to like build up this big hotel. And so you have, you know, all these conflicting interests. And so the fact that Brody is still freaked out and he's dealing with PTSD and he's seeing sharks everywhere, even though nobody can confirm that there's been a shark attack. That's an interesting movie. That would be a really good movie, and that would actually fit the feeling of the late 70s a lot.
And, oh, by the way, John Hancock left his signature on the original. Sorry. that was the name of the director.
That's a terrible joke.
It's Is it that bad?
Yes.
John D. Hancock.
You wedged that in like a shark pushing through the bow of a ship.
Yeah.
I mean, you just rammed right in. Ugh.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anyway. Yeah, so the original idea of this movie for a sequel is actually a good one. Mm-hmm. Like, at least there's something there. There's something that you could pull apart and make an interesting movie.
It feels like a sequel. Like, it feels like, and the, you know, what's going on.
Right.
Makes a little sense.
It makes sense. It makes sense that, hey, this whole thing happened. Now what's the fallout? That would have been a really interesting film. And you can kind of feel where, like, those storylines are still wedged in there, but the people making the movie just don't care. And so you end up with the plot about, hey, here's a bunch of teens who are having fun in the summer and like they're trying to get laid and whatnot. And then, you know, they go out on their fancy boats and get like shark attacked.
Yep.
And it's just shockingly boring. Like, none of these teens are interesting.
No.
They're not fun. You know, we watched, last summer, we watched One Crazy Summer. Yeah. Right? Now, that's a fun movie, right? Bobcat Goldthwait was not a teen in that movie, obviously, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
You know, the point is, it's a similar kind of setting, right? Because that one was filmed, I think, on Nantucket. Yeah. This one's Martha's Vineyard. The two islands are kind of next to each other, right? Sort of. But I just remember watching this movie and thinking, man, the kids in that movie are so much more fun. I mean, granted, it's like John Cusack and whatnot. Yeah. Of course it is. So I don't like any of these kids, especially that one guy you called Ralph Mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this one guy in here who I'm just like, feed him to the shark.
Yeah.
Feed him to the shark now.
He's
so, I know, I'm so mad. He's not one of the guys who gets eaten. The guy who gets eaten is the one who has all the product placements around him. There is a scene. Okay, so one of these children of the elite, he and his girlfriend are always making out, except that like then she wants to go off and do some other thing. And it's a stupid subplot that doesn't really matter or make sense. Towards the middle of the film, they go out rowing because everybody's constantly going out boating, and they are trying to make out while holding cups that say Coca-Cola on them, specifically angled at the camera. It is so awkward looking. So that when the shark decides to just ram its face through the prow of the boat, not because it wasn't the prow, it was the side. In fact, it was the port side. When it rams its stupid head right through it to go and eat them, I just kept thinking, well, are they going to actually drop the Coke cups? Will the Coca-Cola Corporation allow that? So yeah, I mean, some of the teens do get eaten, thankfully, but not enough.
Yeah.
I did not like the kids in this movie.
Nope.
I definitely don't like the character of Michael in it.
Like practically all the girls were just screaming like.
Oh, they're not characters.
Two of them like are just go comatose just saying a shark like and they just
immediately go catatonic. It's terrible.
And the men have to take care of them.
This movie sucks. There were a couple times where I thought that Mrs. Brody was having an affair, and that would have been more interesting. And I know in the original novel. Yeah,
like I you get that vibe mostly with her boss.
Yeah, but also at one point with
the deputy.
The deputy, yeah. Like there's twice in this movie where I'm kind of like, are they hinting that she's having an affair? And I know in the original book she's having an affair with Hooper, right?
Yeah.
Which they don't keep in the film because, frankly, the film doesn't need it.
Yeah, and it kind of makes him way unlikable.
Right, much more than he needs to be.
Yeah. It sounds like everybody was unlikable in the book.
Well, yeah. And you know what? I feel like this movie might be closer to Benchley's book because nobody's likable in this.
You know what? I kind of like the mayor in this. Like, he feels conflicted. And I feel like if they had gone with more of the original script, like, I feel like he definitely seems like stuck between different forces.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think he would have been really good if given better material because he's good in the first movie.
And there was a cut scene where where they vote on
whether to
Brody.
whether to fire Brody.
And he votes with Brody. Like he says, I know, like that picture does look like a shark, I guess, you know.
But let's talk about why they want to fire Brody. So, there's a series of shark attacks, and he starts freaking out.
But unlike the first film, it's not obvious that they're shark attacks.
No.
Like, the two divers just disappear, and then there's a water surfing girl who gets tracked down.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
So there's a girl who is water surfing. And,
skiing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, she's water skiing. And, her buddy is piloting the boat. And a shark goes and eats the girl. Mm-hmm. And then attacks the boat.
Yep.
And the pilot of the boat freaks out. And she goes to pour gasoline onto the shark, I guess, and instead pours it all over herself.
Well, she's a girl. She doesn't know what to do. She's panicked.
Exactly. We're just lucky she didn't go comatose.
I know.
So she pours all this gasoline all over herself, then reaches for the flare gun and tries to shoot the shark with the flare gun and instead sets herself on fire and then blows up the boat.
But gives the shark his distinctive look.
Yeah, that's true. We spend the rest of the movie with a shark that has like a burned scar on its face.
Yeah.
Because you want the shark to look dangerous. Because before that shark just looks like a pussycat.
Yeah.
Who's afraid of a shark?
Yeah.
Nobody.
And then he flips a coin.
He's got to look
badass.
badass.
So his little fin.
You know what? That would have been a better movie.
There's two shark attacks, but there's really no proof of shark at all.
There's no evidence that a shark attack happened. And the film doesn't make that clear enough.
Yeah.
I totally understand. You want to show, not tell. You don't want to just put in a lot of exposition. But this film could have used a couple of characters doing any exposition whatsoever. Because there are things that just kind of happen in this that it's not that then what follows from it is illogical, but if they had just pointed it out at some point, hey, this is, there's no evidence of a shark. You have these couple of bodies that show up, but we don't know what happened to them. You could have actually said that, right? Instead, they just kind of have the town council saying, there's no shark attack. Okay, why do you think there's no shark attack? Just say, because we have no evidence. They don't really get into that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not a very well-written script.
If you just take out the first two shark attacks, it's immediately a better film because it's just Brody freaking out.
Yeah.
And no proof at all. Like, everyone else is like, what are you talking about? It's like, it's obviously a shark.
A much more interesting film would be Brody is paranoid and freaking out, and his instinct is telling him these are shark attacks, and there's no evidence of shark attacks. And you spend the rest of the movie not seeing a shark until the end, or it's just like, oh man, he was right.
It seems like every director of Jaws movie, they focus so much on what the shark looks like.
Yeah.
And no one cares.
Yeah, that's not important.
Like it's always disappointing.
Well, yeah, and that's why the first one, I mean, Spielberg was right to just say, look, this thing looks terrible and it's not working right, so we just don't show it right away.
Yeah.
And it works great. It builds tension because it's a monster you can't see.
But I get the feeling Spielberg probably didn't think that at first.
No, of course not.
I think as it was going on, he was like, it's probably better that you don't see it.
But see, that's where his instincts as a director are so good compared to Svark, who just said, everybody knows what the shark looks like, so we're going to show the shark a lot.
Yeah.
It's like,
and
but the shark looks terrible, and the shark attacks look terrible. Like, they look ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, they don't even look realistic. So because he's freaking out, he's like hanging out in a watchtower over the beach. And by the way, so a little bit of this movie was filmed in Martha's Vineyard, but a lot apparently was filmed down in Florida.
Yeah.
And you can tell it's not the same place for two reasons. One, all of a sudden there's landmarks on the island that weren't there in the first movie, but they're supposed to be really old, like that lighthouse.
Yeah.
There's no lighthouse in the original movie. We would have seen a lighthouse in the original movie, at least not this lighthouse. And the other thing is this watchtower he goes up into. There's no watchtower in the original movie, right? So like there's like all these things that they're adding that aren't in the first movie that all of a sudden become necessary. And so like that's number one. Number two reason why I was just like, yeah, this doesn't look right. The water is almost green.
Yeah.
Like it's got that clear Gulf water because they filmed it in the Panhandle, right?
Yeah.
And it like the water looks too nice. The North Atlantic is gray, man.
Or brown.
Or again, I got Impetigo more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, the water in the North Atlantic, Mid-Atlantic, whatever, is not like pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, it is if you're me and you like the ocean. But so I'm watching this, I'm just like, that does not look like the North Atlantic. That, this is not somewhere off of the coast of the United States, the East Coast. But so anyway, he goes up in this tower and he sees what he thinks is like a shark going to eat people right on the beach. And to be fair, like this does happen. Like, I almost feel like I have to defend the idea of shark attacks because, it's a monster movie. But like, this does actually happen. This just happened, I think, earlier in the summer in Massachusetts or something. So like this happens. He's right to be worried.
But also, we've seen this scene before.
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. That's this movie over and over again. It kind of plays the same beats as the first film, but it does it in a way that has no tension, no suspense. It's not interesting.
Like we've heard the shark bell before.
Yep.
And it was the same thing that happened.
When you think about in the original film, that part in the film where they're on the beach and people are trying to relax and Brody is all keyed up because he's waiting for the shark to attack. And you have like the shot, the Hitchcock zoom pull-out thing, right?
Yeah. I forget there's a name for it.
There is a name for it, and I can't think of it right now. And you think about how well that's done, with the kind of tension that's built in making that whole sequence. And how he uses misdirection.
Yeah.
Spielberg uses a lot of misdirection in that film, and there's no misdirection in this movie. So he goes up and he thinks that there's going to be, so it's the same sort of beats where, he's afraid that there's going to be a shark attack, and
they're showing shots of the beach, but every shot's just too long. Like there's this one shot where you see these three girls' butts.
It's very Ion Springfield.
But the camera just lingers on them for a while, and it's like, what are you doing? What are you trying to do here, camera?
So he thinks he sees a shark about to attack, and so he screams to get everybody out of the water. Okay, fine. But here's then what he does is, because he's all dressed in his cop outfit, and I left out the part where in the scene before, he had taken some hollow tip bullets, filled them with cyanide, and then put wax over them.
It felt like a Rambo movie.
Right.
It's like it's like dark and there's like, it's like steaming and all, and he's sweaty.
And like I understand exactly what he's doing. I get it because one bullet's not going to kill the shark, but if you fill it with cyanide, maybe the poison will do something. Okay. There's a logic to it, but it's just filmed in such a weird way that it's just like, no, this doesn't feel right for this movie. But so he comes down and he's trying to get people out of the water, and then he charges into the ocean and starts firing his gun. It is so ridiculous and so over the top.
Like
And
he sees a shadow and it turns out it's bluefish.
it's just a school of bluefin. Like,
Yeah.
not tuna. It's just a school of fish.
Yeah.
That could be a better done scene about a guy who has PTSD.
Yeah.
And like the film kind of hints at that, because this is why they go to fire him. He's freaking out. He thinks he sees this thing. It's not a shark attack at all. And that, but what I said earlier is, Spielberg would do misdirection, because then he would have an actual shark attack happen, like slightly off, away from where everybody was looking on the beach.
Yeah.
They don't do that here.
Nope.
No, because this movie drags. This movie is not well constructed. It is. This thing has so much slack in it. I thought it was like from the Church of the Subgenius. That's a terrible joke. That sucked. I'm leaving it in though. Anyway, it's such a bad movie. It's a frustrating movie because there are good ideas that can be ferreted out of it.
Yeah.
But it's just they don't do anything with it. So you have at the same time, like I said, all these teenagers who are doing their whole swimming thing, sailing and whatnot. And they decide to go sailing out one day, despite the fact that apparently there's shark attacks or whatever. And Brody's been fired from his job, and I guess he recruits the deputy.
Also, he's been telling his son, don't go out in the water, which he's been doing since the first movie.
Right.
Just don't go out in the water. You'd
Yeah.
think the kid would be used to it by now. But
They've been living on the island for how many years?
Yeah.
And of course he's not listening to Dad.
yeah.
Even though there was a shark attack. Look. Every year we go to the Jersey Shore.
Mm-hmm.
And some years, there are occasionally sharks. Doesn't happen very often. One of the most famous shark attacks in American history happened on Long Beach Island. It's the book Close to Shore, whatever.
Yeah.
It's a good book.
And there was a shark attack in a creek.
Yeah, in New
That's messed
Jersey.
up, man.
That is so wild.
Like if they just filmed that, people would not believe it. They'd be like,
know.
that's ridiculous.
Oh.
Here's this watering hole and these naked kids jumping in the water, and then suddenly here's a shark eating them.
That's the thing. This is a creek inland, man.
Yeah. Way inland.
Yeah, but the shark got up the creek. And that happened. It's not like I'm not used to the idea that, hey, if you go into the water, you could die.
Right.
A shark could eat you. You could drown. I almost drowned once.
Yeah.
A few years ago. The water is dangerous. So when Brody's just telling his son, who is now at this point 17, 18, don't go in the water, and the son's just yeah, whatever, old man. I'm not surprised, because you could tell me, don't go in the water. You could get eaten by a shark or drown. And I think, yeah, I know that. And yet I'm going in anyway.
Yeah.
I've had my foot sliced open. I've been attacked by jellyfish. I'm used to bad things happening to me in the water.
I had my foot sliced open too.
I think that probably happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in the days of when they were just throwing the trash into the water, and then it was broken bottles and whatever. Although it was probably just a seashell that I stepped on. Who knows? It was very painful, actually, when I think about it. Ugh. Yeah, so I'm not surprised that his son's just yeah, whatever, I'm not listening to you. Because I wouldn't listen either. I might be dumb, I don't know. I think I might actually die at sea.
Yeah.
That's an awfully quick yeah, man.
Maybe we both will. Who knows? Double snack. So we're 2/3 through the movie now.
Yeah.
And it feels like nothing's happened.
No, because nothing happens in this movie. It is...
In the first movie, you feel like you've gone through two different films. It's a horror film, and then it's this kind of weird...
It's Moby Dick.
Yeah, but also there's this kind of weird kind of comedy.
Oh, yeah.
Of the townsfolk, freaking out trying to catch the shark, and then there's Hooper and stuff. But
Yeah, absolutely.
and then it's Moby Dick at the end. It's just this total
Adventure at sea, but
Yeah.
it's also about America and all this stuff, the speech about the Indianapolis and all that.
but it's so tight. Everything just fits.
Yeah.
It doesn't nothing seems wasted. It just
In this film, everything feels wasted.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. So yeah, the kids go out to sea, and the shark just decides to, treat this like a buffet,
yeah.
eat some of them, including product placement boy.
First he scares off a diver team.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But Yeah, it's
It
so
doesn't matter.
long.
Like, I just trying to explain what happens in this film feels exhausting.
Yeah. Eventually, he mushes up the boats, and some are upside down.
And the kids start to tie their boats together, and then all of a sudden it's just like, baby's first wreck of the Hesperus. All of a sudden, it's like they're all stranded at sea and waiting to die, and all of a sudden a helicopter shows up from like beach patrol or something.
Yeah,
I still don't quite understand what exactly like the public safety structure of Amity Island is, because I think this is the first time we've run into beach patrol, which is, by the way, the helicopter pilot has to be the only Amish guy in the world who can pilot a helicopter.
and
He's got a beard. What I'm saying is he's got an Amish beard. It's very strange.
And apparently the guy, like, he was the actual pilot, like,
Yeah.
and they just had him in the movie, and he built like the fake chopper that got eaten.
And for a guy who I don't know if he's like actually an actor or not.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with him in the film.
Yeah. He's one of the better parts.
Oh my God, he is probably the best part because he lands this pontooned like helicopter.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, kids, I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Whatever."
They're cheering.
Yay! We're gonna go home. And what happens? All of a sudden, the shark shows up and just starts eating the
Pontoon,
helicopter.
yeah.
It
It
eats.
looks like he's like chomping on a big hot dog.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the shark eats the helicopter and the helicopter pilot.
No.
Well, look, as far as the film is concerned,
As far as IMDb is concerned, still alive, as is Marge.
yeah, which one is Marge?
Who
Come
cares?
on, nobody knows.
Anyway, there's a character named Marge, and she survives in the oxygen bubble of the helicopter
No, they're
upside
dead.
down.
They are dead. Let me tell you something. Even if they weren't eaten by the shark, they'd be dead anyway.
I hope they.
They went down like the end of Miracle Mile. They are chum.
Oh,
So yeah, a shark eats a helicopter in this
they're
movie.
gonna turn into diamonds.
Yeah, right. Maybe those Cape May diamonds.
Yeah. Oh, so we did skip this part. So Mike. So it's Mike and Sean are the two Brody kids.
Yeah.
And Mike's he's dark hair. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
But,
Well, he's the older kid.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like he gets injured, and he's on like the good boat, and they send him back. It's like kind of taking whatever drama you could have had and like just halved it,
Yep.
But they keep Sean, the little kid, and so it's he reminds me of the kid from Eight is Enough, but I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, I know who you're
yeah.
talking. Yeah.
But he's there to like whine and all that. But
So for whatever reason, this little boy is with the other teenagers who went out boating. I mean, I guess it's because his
it's
brother.
so much
yeah,
fun
it's
when you're
so-
a teenager to bring a little kid along.
Oh my God. They didn't even make him a stowaway or anything.
No,
That at least would have been something.
yeah,
Although how you would stow away on one of these little what do you even call those little sailboats?
catamaran.
Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
yeah. You can't stow away on a catamaran.
yeah,
They would involve scuba gear.
yeah.
So yeah, sharks are gonna eat them, and Brody finally pulls up with his boat and finds them, and they are off near a rock called what are they called, like Cable Island or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a dumb name because first of all, it's not a real island. It's just it was a bunch of like paper mache that they made, and which apparently like kind of you can see like some of the rocks floating away.
Yeah, and I think it actually floated away to Cuba at one point.
Oh really? All right,
Yeah.
because they made this in Florida.
Yeah,
Earlier in the film, they introduced the fact that all of the power on the island is provided from an undersea cable.
what did you call that cable?
Chekhov's power line.
Yep.
Because, so earlier in the film, they accidentally pull it up when they're looking for like the shark or whatever. And then we come to the end of the film and, oh, by the way, hey, the power line is here. And I went, oh man, really? This is what they're going to do?
Yep.
And boy, do they. Because after struggling to get the kids safe and it's not working out and trying to figure out what to do about the shark, whatever, Brody's like, oh, a giant undersea cable that provides all of the power to the island. Well, chomp chomp, buddy. So he baits the shark to bite the giant undersea cable and electrocute itself.
He does this by hitting his paddle against the power line, and there was a shark expert earlier in the film where a aquatic expert who there was an orca whale that was washed up.
Yep.
And he's convinced that these are shark bites, and she's like, I don't know. He's like, they're attracted by blood, right? And she's like, well, also weird sounds or something. And so I think that's why he is slamming on it, because he's like, the weird sounds.
Yeah, they don't explain it very well. When like anything else in this film, right? But the thing is, what I was just reading is apparently sharks are extremely sensitive to electromagnetic fields, and so it probably would have been like, ooh. This will be fun to bite on anyway.
Yeah.
To be honest, he probably didn't even have to like try to get the shark's attention.
No.
But so he does, and shark bites it, and the shark electrocutes itself, and it looks terrible.
You know what? So it looks terrible. This probably is the most like realistic shark killing device of any of the Jaws movies. So.
Oh no, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would kill a shark.
Yeah, and it's not unrealistic that it might do something dumb like this.
Yeah.
If sharks are actually kind of into electricity, like maybe they're really into eating eels or something. Maybe they would actually just electrocute themselves like that. So you're right. This is not like this might be the most realistic death of a shark.
Yeah.
In these movies.
But yes, movie wise, it's dumb.
It's very dumb. It looks bad.
Yeah.
And at the end, it just looks like they set like a cardboard shark on fire. It looks really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's the end of the film. Much like the original film where they blow up the shark and have to swim back to sea. Here they just, electrocute the shark, and then I don't know. I guess they're gonna have to swim to like I don't even know how they get home again.
No, they don't. They die.
That's fine. Actually, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
is that why we don't see Chief Brody ever again?
Yeah.
He died out at sea.
Yeah. Never got home. Oh well. Everyone's like, they were all annoying anyways.
What was this New Yorker coming up here and decided to be our chief? We fired him, and then he killed himself.
Yeah.
No. This is a bad movie. This is bad. No. Not a good movie.
Like I said, I feel like it could have been good without the shark attacks in the beginning. Like if it was just like, him being paranoid or something. Yeah. Okay.
One, better written script.
Mm-hmm.
Not just screenplay, but like the actual like dialogue. Because there's nothing really memorable in this. The thing about the original, there's a lot of memorable dialogue.
Yeah.
This doesn't have anything memorable. Number two, just tighter story. Have some focus. Don't do the teens. Like come up with something else. Or if you're going to have the teens, like, I don't know, just make them more interesting and likable. Give them a personality. Don't have a giant gaggle of them. Just focus on a couple.
I think when you have when you have teens in a movie, it has to be either all teens or all adults. Like like a mix doesn't always work.
No, and it definitely doesn't work here.
Yeah.
And like three, do the plot of, the town is economically depressed and, people are kind of worried about the mafia, like, making things, a problem for them. Like this could be a more interesting movie. There's so much potential here. And like, yeah, it's a sequel, but not every sequel is bad. There are a lot of good sequels out there. There really are a lot of good sequels out there, and this is not one of them.
Yeah. This movie just has a too many cooks feel. Like it definitely feels like it's been, like some people wanted to go this way, other people wanted to go that way.
And anything that would have made the film interesting, it sounds like Universal put the kibosh on.
Yep.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they cut some death scenes like to keep it PG.
Yeah.
And so it even that kind of.
They don't even have enough people die in this movie.
Yeah.
It's a shark attack movie. Where are my deaths?
Well, the helicopter pilot and Marge make it, so.
No, absolutely not. So that was Jaws 2. It didn't have to be, but it was.
Yeah. Damn it.
Starring Roy Scheider, Lorraine Gary, Mary Hamilton, and then like nobody you've ever heard of, I'm afraid. I mean, they've all got, pictures on IMDb, but they're not like really well-known people. Yeah, it's not like the first one. Directed by Janos Vark and written by Carl Gottlieb and Harold Sackler, and it sounds like with a lot of meddling from Universal. Do we really want to go to the shore this next week? I don't know, man. Kind of lost my taste for it. That is not true. That is not true. We are definitely going to be down the shore next week. All right. You can follow us on social media. We are Mary vs. Movies on Twitter. Mary vs. Movies. Yeah, that's right. I said Twitter. Mary vs. Movies on Blue Sky. Mary vs. Movies on Instagram. Mary versus the Movies on Tumblr. And Mary vs. Movies at mas.to on Mastodon. We are on all of the major platforms. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, where you can rate and review the show. You can listen to us on Spotify, where you can rate and review the show. We are on Overcast, Google Play, basically anywhere that you get a podcast from. You can always go to the Libsyn website and get the RSS feed and add us that way to whatever your podcatcher of choice is. We, of course, have a Patreon that you can help to support the show, and for $3 a month, you will not only get a little bit of swag, but you will get access to our other podcast, Hollywood Avalon, where we watch movies of an Arthurian bent and rate and review them as well. And let's see, we've done 5 movies so far. The next movie is Night Riders, which I'm kind of looking forward to, the George Romero film. If you sign up for our Patreon, which is patreon.com/MaryVSMovies, you can get Hollywood Avalon.
Hopefully someday we'll be able to do the Rick Wakeman thing.
Oh, is that on your mind?
Yeah, man, that sounds great.
Yeah, I don't know if there's actually like footage of Rick Wakeman's King Arthur on ice, but I hope so.
Yeah.
I definitely want to cover that. I think that'll be fascinating.
Maybe we can just imagine it.
Yeah. So what else was I going to say? Oh, yes. And if you sign up for the Patreon, but you don't have to sign up for the Patreon to access this, you can get our newsletter. Every week, Dennis and I write a nice little newsletter where we talk about all the movies that we are watching, the movie we just watched for the show, pizzas that Dennis has eaten. We review, like, we talk about, like, what books are we reading? Television we've been watching, like, but stuff like that. It's a newsletter. You get the idea. So, yeah, if you sign up for the Patreon, you can get it automatically, or just write to me at maryvsmovies@gmail.com, where you can contact us with all of your comments, questions, complaints, or suggestions, because we do want to hear from you. And yes, talk to me. I will put you on the mailing list. DM me on Twitter. Again, maryvsmovies. And you do not have to
approach you in the street.
No, definitely not. I will not answer to my name being called.
Oh. Mary versus movies. Mary versus the movies.
Yeah, this is just the sight of me like taking off down the street. Nope. I'm out of here.
NPM.
So yeah, I feel like I'm a little punchy after that movie. Sorry. So, all right. Next week, the summer continues. We're going on vacation. And so are you. Our choices are between 2 different movies. One movie I've never seen all of, but I saw like the last 5 minutes of once. And the other movie I loved as a kid, but I have not seen as an adult. A very long time. But I thought was great as a kid. I have no idea if it holds up. And Dennis has never seen this movie. So, movie 1.
Yep.
The movie I haven't actually seen. National Lampoon's Vacation.
Wait, you haven't seen Vacation?
No. I've seen Christmas Vacation many times.
Wait a sec. You haven't seen National Lampoon's Vacation?
No, I haven't. Wait, have you noticed the premise of this show? There are a lot of movies I've never seen.
National Lampoon's
No, I've never seen it. I saw the last 5 minutes once. Yeah.
I thought I knew you.
You don't.
Oh, I love it. It's great.
Okay, well, okay. So, Heads is National Lampoon's Vacation.
Okay.
Tails is a movie that you've never seen.
No.
Meatballs.
Yep.
I think you're going to like it. But then again, I haven't seen it as an adult, so I don't know if it's actually good.
I know people have said I would like it. I don't know. I just missed it for some reason.
Yeah. I wonder what that's like.
Yeah. National Lampoon's Vacation?
I've never seen it.
I can't say it more than once.
No.
Apparently.
All right, so Heads, National Lampoon's Vacation, Tails, Meatballs.
All right, so you're saying I should just throw this in the air with this whole thing?
Yes.
No
yeah,
flipping.
throw the coin in the air with the... So you didn't let it just land. You then, when it hit the quarter, hit the little catcher. You then flipped it up again.
All right, I gotta flip it.
This is not hacky sack. All right, it is heads. So next week, the movie will be National Lampoon's Vacation.
Cool. Actually, I'm okay with either film, but yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, cool. Now I'm looking forward to this because again, I've seen Christmas Vacation many, many times, but I haven't really watched any of the other National Lampoon movies. I know this one's very popular, but yeah, I've seen the very end of it once.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm excited. All right. Well, until next time.
You eat Cheerios. I want Fruit Loops.
You know what? There are no memorable lines in that movie. That's gonna have to do it. Yeah.
The kids.